Hello and welcome to another episode of the Four Corners Podcast. Our group, actually everyone, got some really bad news earlier this week. Unfortunately, one of our favorite creators of the Marvel Universe has passed away at the age of 95. And today we're taking a moment to tribute this episode to Stan Lee and his creations. We're going to go through each of us telling various stories of different characters that we enjoyed, his favorite cameos that we enjoyed, just basically putting over Stan Lee, essentially.
I'm all for that.
So, you want to go first, Colin?
I feel like we should end with me and start over there.
When we do this, historically, but before it gets back to you, someone says what you're thinking, and then you get upset.
Yes.
So this time, there's no way you could possibly be upset because you're going to go first.
Okay, which one are we doing
Just
first?
tell us one of your favorite characters and we'll go down the line.
Well, see, we're a little disappointed because we found out that Deadpool wasn't created by Stan Lee, apparently. We just found this out like literally 3 seconds into the show. So.
But it doesn't mean that he's not a favorite character of ours.
Oh, yeah.
Stan Lee had some hand in it, though.
How about we just do favorite Marvel characters? I mean, Stan Lee is basically
Is
the
Marvel.
The guru of Marvel.
Yeah, so I mean,
Fair enough.
that way we can still include, people like Deadpool. But Deadpool is not my first pick. My first pick is Wolverine from
Fair.
X-Men.
Why is that?
He's just a badass. I mean, he doesn't. I was gonna say he doesn't die, but spoilers to Logan, he does.
I'm sure everyone's seen it by now.
Well, if you haven't, Deadpool pretty much ruined that for you.
Yeah, pretty much.
Motherfucker dies at the end of it. I mean, he's got a really cool backstory. He's just a great character. I like his wit and his attitude, and he's like the Stone Cold Steve Austin of X-Men. He doesn't really give a fuck. He's just there to kick the shit out of everybody and leave.
Yeah.
So, that's my pick. First pick, anyways. Zach?
Are we just doing one at a time or are we doing all
Let's
three?
do one at a time.
Yeah, might as well.
Excuse me.
Number one probably have to be Captain America for me.
Want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, thank you.
I was going to say I elaborated. You can
I
elaborate.
mean, First Avenger. I don't know. He just embodies. He is the embodiment of the underdog.
Actually, technically speaking, if you watch
before he got his power.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
they wouldn't even let him be in World War II. They wouldn't let him fight because he was too weak. And I mean, yeah, you're actually right. I agree with you.
I mean, I don't know. I'm in for the underdog stories.
They look so puzzled over there when you first said that. Like they completely forgot the first 30 minutes of the first Captain America movie.
No, he's not wrong. I mean, I can understand where he's coming from with that.
All right, Steven,
Steve-O.
the
Okay.
guru of Marvel.
I wouldn't go that far.
Okay, the guru of this table of Marvel.
I wouldn't go that far either.
I'd probably say my number one is probably gonna be no surprise to you. At least these three is probably gonna be Deadpool. Yeah, I know.
Starting off strong.
Yeah. Main reason why I enjoy him is like just his wit and his character and the way he presents himself. I mean, he's technically considered an anti-hero, but he's technically a hero in the movies. Split personality, which makes it really, really funny.
I don't think we ever actually specified that it had to be a
I
hero.
know. I know.
I
but,
mean, you can pick villains.
Yeah.
I'm sure Scott's all of his will be villains.
No, I know one who he's gonna take definitely. I'm not gonna say anything, but I'm just.
I have
I
a
have
feeling
a prediction of one.
I actually have a prediction of one too, and I'm hoping he'll say it so we can call it out.
Anyway, but I mean, as far as that goes, I'm not gonna lie, the main how I discovered Deadpool was through a video game. I saw how he was on the video game, and then I decided to research into him, aka Marvel vs. Capcom. If anybody's ever seen that video game.
I was gonna say if it was Deadpool.
No. Actually, Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 was how I originally discovered him, and then I just loved his wit and thought he was really hilarious, and just kind of started doing more research into him and reading comics, and that's just me.
Fair enough.
Go ahead, Scott.
So is this supposed to be the favorite that we pick first, or is this like?
I just kind of picked.
It's just one.
I mean, mine was my favorite, yes. But you.
All right. Well, I won't open with my favorite.
Of course not. Why would you?
Well, I save that to the end.
I was going to say the three of us, and I guess I'll pick our favorites. So.
Yeah. We'll change it up a little bit. We're doing 3, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Mine's Iron Man.
That was not my prediction,
Um,
but I'm not surprised either.
out of the 4 of us, I'm not really the biggest Marvel fan.
Right.
I don't have an issue with it. I really enjoy the movies. Some of the comics that I have read, I've enjoyed. All the films that I've watched, I've enjoyed. With the exception of one, but we won't get into that.
I'm not saying nothing.
He just scratched his head.
But one of the first Marvel characters that I discovered was actually Iron Man. Outside of Spider-Man growing up, but the one that I actually enjoyed the most reading about and watching and the big screen and all that was Iron Man. I just really liked the attitude, and I thought he was a very unique character. And
He reminds you of you.
yeah,
I was
Just
waiting for
minus,
somebody else to fucking say it.
just minus the money.
no, yeah. But I really enjoyed Iron Man. To me, he's kind of like their version of Batman.
Yeah.
And I'm a huge, I love Batman. That's my favorite superhero. And fuck the people that think he's not a superhero. He is, so fuck you.
That went south.
But
I did go south. I went dark.
Wow.
Iron Man,
Sounds like DC.
but no, Iron Man I always thought was really cool. And he was the one that actually helped get the whole MCU started. That was the seed that was planted that grew into.
It was the very first movie.
Yeah, and that was always I thought it was really cool that he got the nod to do the beginning sequences of what became probably the most amazing franchise and
You're talking about movie wise, right?
well overall like a story arc in the universe from Iron Man.
But that's what I'm saying. Though.
Yeah,
You're
but-
talking about in the movie wise.
Yeah, from Iron Man until when we get the second half of the Infinity Wars in March.
I mean, Iron Man didn't start it off.
Maybe.
Technically.
May.
Yeah.
It begins with an M. But
The
yeah.
more important month.
Yeah. Oh, because your birthday?
Uh-huh.
But yeah, for me it's Iron Man. Colin?
I was fighting on who my second pick was going to be. And I'm still kind of fighting it. But I'm going to go with Rocket.
That's actually surprising. I didn't think that was going to be one.
Yeah. The raccoon. He's amazing.
Trash panda.
He's a trash panda. Raccoon, as most of us call it.
No trash.
Honestly, he's the most unique character. I don't think there's really any other legit superhero animals. I know we have Spider-Man and
But Spider-Man's not really
exactly, he's a human
meta-human.
who, has animal-like characteristics and tendencies. Rocket's just a fucking animal who steals shit, and he's just. I always like a humorous, anti-hero type of deal, and Wolverine fits the same bill. He's basically an anti-hero, and Rocket's the same way. And I didn't really notice because I didn't follow Marvel until they started, the movies, and I actually watched Guardians of the Galaxy 2 before I actually watched 1, and I had to go back and watch 1 because I didn't watch all of them all in order. I just watched them whenever people invited me to go to the movies. So I watched that one, and he was just so fucking funny. I went back and watched the first one. He's just a good character. He's a funny character.
He's funnier than the first one.
Yeah, yeah, he is funnier than the first one. But he's a good character. He's an interesting character, and I think the uniqueness that he brings, not just to the Guardians of the Galaxy, but just to the Marvel Universe in general, I think it's needed, and I think we're far enough along to reveal spoilers for that one, that he actually is one of the rare ones that, made it through, Thanos'
Killing spree.
killing spree, snap, as we call it. So, yeah. I just think he's a good character.
Zach?
And this one is a little bit more difficult. But for me, it was Spider-Man. And it's just because that was the first comic that Stanley created. That's his baby. And I mean, Tom Holland plays a great Spider-Man. You know, with this one. So I'm waiting for the second Homecoming because that was a great movie, in my opinion. I know Steven's thinking, shut the fuck up about Spider-Man already.
I personally like Aunt May more.
Wasn't a fan.
But
Of Aunt May?
Oh, I thought you said Ant-Man.
No, Aunt May.
Oh.
Wrong gender for one thing.
But yeah, I don't know. Spider-Man's always been fun because he has a huge universe of villains and anti-villains, like, you know, from Carnage to Venom to everybody. I mean, it's a huge universe. It's a fun universe. It's hard to kind of keep where the lines blur between the comics and the movies, but I think that's what makes him so versatile.
Mm-hmm.
Because he can do just about fucking whatever you want him to do.
Yeah.
Steve-O.
So, I'm going to go more into detail because Zach over here stole my second one, but, you know, it is what it is. You did. It is what it is. That's why I said that. Calm down.
So far, nobody's stolen any of mine. We're in good shape.
Yeah, because you went first. That's why we
Yeah,
did.
but you could have taken, Rocket.
Nah. No, I'm good.
Rude.
Yeah, it's okay.
Insulting the animals.
He's a trash panda.
Still an animal.
Shut up, you uncultured swine.
I'm still my insult.
Anyway, my second is going to be the Spider-Man franchise as well. And the main reason why I like the Spider-Man franchise is because of how many different dimensions of Spider-Man there actually are. And that he's actually been a part of. You've got the regular Spider-Man, you've got Spider-Man Noir, Venom Spider-Man technically, it's Spectacular Spider-Man, Spider-Man 2099, which is fucking awesome if it ever comes out into a fucking movie.
Amazing
I will
Spider-Man.
be there. Amazing Spider-Man. And, Zach kind of hit it with, like, he has a variety of villains that he goes against, and they actually bring in villains from other comics to be his villain as well. Like, the Punisher is technically a villain of Spider-Man. Deadpool does something with Spider-Man. He's even done Spider-Man with the X-Men at one point to help him out. Black Cat, Mysterio.
There's a Black Panther and a Black Cat.
Yeah, Black Cat,
Okay.
yeah. But as far as like the Spider-Man franchise goes, I still say the favorite story of mine, to kind of go off of his, would be the Venom and Carnage storyline, which I hope to God they do it correctly in this next 3 films, preferably with Venom. That is if they do 3 films with it. But Spider-Man to me is, like Zach said, it was his first comic that he ever did. It's probably the one that we most remember for him, or at least myself. But the fact that that franchise has, or not has, but can do so many movies if they choose to, is so outstanding. Nothing.
To kind of go along with what Steven said, I'm not picking Spider-Man, but I'm going to pick the...
To piggyback?
Yeah, to piggyback. I was going to say that, but I didn't.
That's like the phrase for us.
I'm going to go with the X-Men universe. As Steven knows, I know you two don't, I'm a huge X-Men fan. I've seen all the movies. I even know some of them weren't the best.
Like First Class.
Well, I mean, there was something that I'm sure some people liked.
It wasn't terrible.
But
Could have been better, though.
I'm one of the people that like to see diversity in movies. And X-Men has a lot of diversity amongst their main characters, their villains, secondary characters, what have you. I kind of felt like X-Men had something for everyone.
Yeah.
If you wanted to cheer for it's kind of, in a way, it's kind of like Lost when it comes to like characters, like a show that has something for everyone, character-wise.
Yeah.
If you want the brainy person, there's Professor Xavier. If you want the rugged, like, kind of lone wolf character, there's Wolverine. If you want like the jock or whatever, they've got that covered. They've got so many depths to characters, and all the stories are really good that I've read. Again, I'm a fan of it, so I'm going to be a little bit biased. I don't think I've read an X-Men comic that I didn't like. Or, again, and all the movies I highly enjoyed too. Logan is probably one of my favorite movies of all time. I highly enjoyed it.
Did you ever see the Wolverine?
It's good. I own all the Wolverine movies, which is one.
And again, some of there was one of the Wolverines that not everybody enjoyed, but
Yeah.
For the most part, growing up, I was a huge X-Men fan, and I was introduced to that. I saw the cartoon when it came out. I've seen all of the animated episodes of the X-Men TV show. I've seen all the X-Men movies. Just a good story, and there's so many different ways it can branch off, and you get different combinations of characters. And there's really just so much to try to cover. It would be impossible to get this in one, let alone 100 podcasts to cover all the amazing comics and situations that they've had over the many years.
Right.
But for me, it's the X-Men universe.
You have to pick a character though.
Cyclops.
Hey, that was who I thought he was gonna pick. I fucking knew it. I called it.
Honestly, it was a toss-up. I have two favorite X-Men characters. Cyclops.
Can I guess
and,
the other one? Is it Jean Grey?
Yes.
Hey!
But it's actually
It's Jean Grey's
it's
alter ego.
Phoenix. Yes. What?
Is it because his name is Scott?
No, I always
Yes.
thought. Honestly, when I was watching, I really never caught that his name was Scott. Like,
Scott Summers.
I just thought he was the most unique looking one. And as a kid, like Laser Vision looked fucking amazing.
Okay. That makes
Again, I was a kid when I saw this. I wasn't
saying
an adult.
anything bad. Calm down.
But I've just always and Phoenix is probably to me one of my all-time favorite Marvel characters or creations. I mean, there's a lot of different variations of her as well, depending on what timeline you read into.
Right. See, I wanted to say at the beginning that he's going to pick Cyclops at some point, but I'm like, no, I don't want to ruin it. Let's just let him pick him eventually, because I know it's coming at some point. Phrasing. So I was like, we'll just let him say his piece. My third shouldn't be a surprise because he's on my shirt. Obviously, it's Deadpool. So, Steven already kind of covered Deadpool, but I mean, for me, it's again, I'm more of an anti-hero fan. You know, somebody who does good but doesn't really give a shit if they're doing good or not. They just do whatever floats their boat, essentially. And I mean, the first Deadpool movie was phenomenal. I would argue that it's not the best Marvel movie of all time, but it's up there. If you just purely go into it just knowing that the storyline is not necessarily going to be something you're going to care for, you're just there for the jokes, it's probably the best. The second one was more storyline and less humor driven, which actually, honestly, made it less entertaining.
I don't think the second one was nearly as good as the first.
And that's the thing, like, a lot of people were complaining about the first one because there wasn't a lot of storyline. It was basically just slapstick comedy. And then we got the second one, and they're like, oh, well, here's all the storyline. And everybody's like, yeah, bring back the slapstick comedy.
Yeah,
we want that.
They didn't want continuity.
Yeah, I was like, you know, but overall, I mean, he's a phenomenal character. And he's Canadian, so that makes it even better. I had to slip it in there somehow. Phrasing.
Zach?
I'm going to go with one of my favorite villains, or anti-heroes, I guess. Mystique has been one of my favorite anti-heroes, I guess. Even before the X-Men movies came out. And just simply for the comics, like, get Mystique, kill Mystique, that whole long line of graphic novel, absolutely one of the best comics I've ever read. And it's basically Deadpool and Wolverine are hunting the entire universe to try to find Mystique, and if she's running for her life. I would really suggest if you like more of a thriller type comic, you go and read those. They're fantastic. Wolverine is the only person in the world that can smell Mystique.
You got a name for that comic?
Yeah, it's Kill Mystique. It's a whole. It's Get, Kill, and there's something else. I don't remember the third title, but it's all one big.
Destroy.
Yeah, I think it's the other one. But the big one is the big multi-novel, graphic novel is Kill Mystique, and that's fantastic.
I'm sure you can look it up. Would be too hard.
Yeah, I got it on Amazon for like $2.50.
Oh, fair enough.
So it was really good. But Wolverine is the only person that can smell her or knows where she is at all times. And Deadpool it's the only reason why he can find it is because they share the exact same blood type.
Interesting.
So if she bleeds, she'll be able to know. He'll be able to find the DNA.
Interesting.
So hopefully she's not in her period during this.
They don't go into detail about that, I think, Scott.
Steven.
Wow.
We've gone dark again.
Apparently. So, my quote unquote last favorite character is probably one from my childhood that I actually enjoyed. And it's kind of.
Is it Baldur?
No. I didn't say it. It's kind of to piggyback off his.
There it is.
It is the X-Men, but it's a certain X-Men, and that's Gambit.
I'm not surprised, actually.
Gambit, to me, out of the X-Men, he's been more or less kind of like the carefree and like has the most charisma. I don't want to say like myself, but I don't have charisma. But what I'm saying though is like the most carefree person. He just kind of goes with the flow and does his job. I mean, obviously he has a thing for Rogue, which is really interesting at the same point. But to me, he was just like when I would watch X-Men, he was like the one that I would always kind of latch on to. But I can't really say exactly for a reason why. He just caught my attention the most. I mean, obviously Wolverine as well, but I more or less pay attention to Gambit. But that's not.
That was yours?
Yeah.
I really don't think it's that big of a surprise.
We already know
No.
who your fucking next one is.
It's Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Of course.
Look, out of all the characters that they did building up towards the Avengers, and Doctor Strange is one I caught on to later. I thought his story, his backstory, was the most unique and different from all the other ones. You had a guy that was a doctor that...
Really? I didn't know.
Well, not everybody, Steven.
You notice how many people in the Marvel Cinematic Universe has doctorates? Doctor Strange, Doctor Doom. The list goes on.
That too.
There's more. I just don't
Okay.
remember all of them. I just remember those two.
But no, like, with
Sure,
Doctor...
fantastic. Sorry.
You had your turn.
Hank Pym.
This is my turn.
What was that one?
Hank Pym.
Okay. Oh yeah, Hank Pym. He's a doctor.
Is he? Is he really?
Yeah. I bet you didn't know that because
No.
you don't like Ant-Man, but... Go ahead.
Are you sure?
I don't know. You get a little...
He's gonna say it exactly.
You get a little irritated.
But before I was so rudely interrupted by everyone, except Zach, thank you for not.
He said Hank Pym.
At the end, he didn't originally. You quit interrupting me.
He
Sucks,
spicy,
doesn't it?
I always thought Doctor Strange was a unique character, but after seeing the just wait, Steven.
Steven's face is fucking classic.
And I go look at him after the podcast.
Okay.
I'm gonna tie those ears underneath his chin.
Alright, go ahead.
I don't know if I think I'm gonna pull Steven with Drew Brees' neck off.
That'd be a first podcast.
This podcast just got more popular. Scott, stop talking.
Oh, I don't think you want that.
Alright, go ahead. Doctor Strange, irrelevant Marvel character, go ahead.
That was rude.
It was, but I'm okay with it.
I hate you so much.
I'm here. Love it. Alright.
I lost my train of thought. I wonder why.
Doctor Strange, your favorite
Before,
character.
I just have a question. I have a question.
I tried.
No, I do have a question. You weren't.
No, go ahead.
No, but on a serious note, is it because Doctor Strange reminds you a lot of Batman?
I guess to an extent. Obviously, Batman can't control time, but
Right.
I always thought that was really cool that you had this superhero that could control time and can go back and change.
History.
I mean, it's one that you can really easily mess up. Anytime you introduce time change or time altering into anything, you can open it up to critiquing, like, well, if he would have went back into this wouldn't be an issue. Like we discussed on the previous, we reviewed the first part of the Infinity Wars.
Yeah.
Why didn't Strange just go back and kill Thanos before this even happened?
Yeah.
I think he's been really well done in terms of not doing the really big mess up and just leaving something out there like, well, if he would have went back and did this really wouldn't have happened. Like, there was never a really big complaint as far as his ability as a superhero and what he deals with in his story arcs and his comics. I've always, ever since I saw the origin movie for Doctor Strange, I've always liked him. I thought he was really unique, and he was just really different from everybody because the ability to control time. And at first, he kind of was like, I'm not cool with this. I don't really want this. I just want my hands back so I can go back to being the best surgeon that I was.
Yeah.
But I mean, he accepted what was eventually going to be his future, and he embraced it, and he became what I feel is probably one of the most powerful superheroes that Stan Lee ever created.
Mm-hmm.
Just there was always something about Doctor Strange I thought was really enjoyable,
Yep.
and I look forward to the second movie and seeing what they do with him in the second half of the Avengers, if they further anything that was originally planted in the first one.
Yeah, I thought Doctor Strange was an interesting choice because he wasn't like a household name like a Spider-Man or an Iron Man or a Captain America. You know, when those three movies, you know, or franchises, I guess, came out, as somebody who didn't really follow Marvel that well early on, I already knew who the hell they were. I hear this Doctor Strange, I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? I've never heard of him before. Like, I know most of them, but, you know, he was one of those characters you had to actually, you know, do a little bit of research on. He was, you know, he was unique in that way. That he wasn't, you know, somebody that you just automatically knew off the top of your head his tragic backstory or, you know, what was going on. I mean, most superheroes have a tragic backstory to lead them to why they're the way they are. I mean, either death or, you know, car accident or whatever happens. But, yeah, he was unique in that stance.
It's kind of, are we all done with the favorites? Or
I think so.
Yeah.
Well, what I was going to say for the next one is, it's no secret Stan Lee has appeared in just about everything he's ever created that's went to the big screen.
Everything.
All of them.
No, Scott.
All of them.
Everything.
All of them.
Well, he hasn't been in all the X-Men, has he?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
I could have swore there was one he wasn't in.
No, he's in all.
He's in every.
If you look at, if you go back and rewatch all the X-Men movies, he has a cameo I've never seen.
Well, what I want to do is top 3 favorite appearances.
Okay, we'll go back.
Well, we're gonna go. Well, let's agree, because I know it's gonna come from all 4 of us. The strip club scene in Deadpool is gonna be one of everybody's probably.
That actually wasn't on my list.
Well, at least on the 3 of us, it's probably gonna be.
That was my number 1.
Shocker.
Well, it's Deadpool. That's how I remember that. And it only makes sense.
Well, who wants to go first with this?
You. We're going backwards this time.
Get this brought up here.
As you have to.
I honestly have to too, because I don't
I
remember all of
don't.
them.
Uh,
I don't remember all of them.
the one that I want to bring up, I feel, is the very most important one he ever did. And it was in Spider-Man 3. And it's the cameo where he walks up to Spider-Man and he talks about the importance one person, the difference that one person can make. And I thought that was very powerful because that is that perfectly sums up what Stan Lee did. He was one person that made a tremendous difference in the lives of so many people and multiple generations of comic fans, regardless of whether you're DC or Marvel. But he single-handedly provided so much joy and entertainment and memories for so many people that I feel that one cameo was probably the very best and most important one he ever did, because it was, to me, the truest one. That one person can truly make a difference. And I truly believe Stan Lee is a person that made a significant difference in the lives of many people. No, that was it.
Oh, no, I was making sure. I would say probably one of my favorites, not my top one, which we've all agreed about, the Stan Lee strip club one and Deadpool one is probably gonna be a
I
top
feel like we
one.
should skip back to Scott, because that's
No. I'll say
we've
a
all
different
done it
one.
first.
The one that is, to me, one of my favorites, and it's because a lot of people don't catch it, is the one in X-Men 3: The Last Stand.
Okay.
He is, so in that scene, it's in like the very first like 5-10 minutes of the film, and it's when Jean Grey's a child. And she's fixing to become, like, start her powers and become Phoenix. Well, in the middle of it, you see, like, everything come out of the ground, and there's this gentleman who's watering his plants, and it turns the water upside down, and he looks at it, and there's Stan Lee being the gardener, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just the little one like that a lot of people don't understand. It's him. 'Cause I'm pretty sure you didn't catch that in the third one.
It's been a long time ago.
Fair enough. But that's just one of my favorite ones.
Zach.
I think for mine, one of the funny ones, and it's not, it doesn't have anything to do with the deepness that we were just talking about, but one of my favorites is the one that he's in with Spider-Man, where he goes in the dialogue with their flirt with the old lady, and he's like, I gotta sleep, I gotta go to work, blah blah blah, and they're all sitting there because the dude's hands like went to the car door because everybody thought, oh, he's stealing a car.
Right.
Yeah, it's just it was one of those funny ones.
Mine was in Captain America Civil War, when he plays the FedEx post guy.
Yes.
Tony
Yeah.
Stank.
Yeah, I couldn't remember the name. I had to look up the movie because I remember that clearly. Because at the very end, I think Falcon just looks at me like, Tony Stank, you're never living that one down, buddy. Not all of them are deep, per se. Some of them actually have some storyline. It's a shame. I wish we could, see where that storyline was going to go. But that particular one was pretty funny to me, so I loved it.
For me, this was probably one of the first ever Marvel movies I saw was Daredevil.
Ooh, what a terrible movie.
And I know it wasn't the greatest, but when he's getting ready to walk out in the middle of the street and Daredevil stops him from getting run over, really no big significance to that, except for that was one of the first cameos that I saw Stan Lee in.
Right.
And that will, given what has happened, will always hold a special place to me because that was one of the first experiences that I had seeing Stan Lee in a movie.
Second favorite one, Stan Lee cameo, is the one from Age of Ultron. When they're having the big party. I mean, it's pretty recognizable. Exactly. It's pretty recognizable.
Oh,
Basically, they're all at Thor and Captain America, Scarlet. Everyone's at the party, and Thor is having this mixture of like alcohol that's supposed to be only drinkable by the gods or anything. And Stanley just asks him, he's like, hey, you know, like I've drank a lot in my day, you know, like let me have some. And he walks off drunk off his ass. Kind of a funnier one, a little bit different side of Stanley that you kind of see, but you know, just kind of one of my favorite ones that I enjoy. Like,
the original Captain America, when he's a colonel in the army, and he looks up and they're all at the White House when Captain America's getting the medal. He looks at him. He's like, I thought he'd be taller. That I just laugh every time I see that because it's the funniest thing.
why did you think of me?
Yeah,
Fucker.
I thought he was taller.
My second one, I guess, since we're not gonna use the Deadpool one, is the most recent one, Ant-Man and the Wasp. Literally, they shrink his car, and he literally looks. He's like, "Well, the '60s were fun, but I'm paying for it now." Nice little drug reference in there. Why not?
Scott.
Let me take a look here.
I ran out of battery power.
That's not a good call.
I know. I'm down to 5%. I just shut off.
I'm gonna have to go with one of the last ones that I saw him in, which was Venom. The reason for it is, honestly, I forgot that I hadn't seen Stan Lee in the movie, because they hold that till damn near the end. Like, that's like one of the last things you see in the movie.
It's
And-
like in First Avengers too.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But I that one's the last one that I've ever seen him in, up until the next, whatever comes out next.
Captain Marvel.
Yeah, when she comes
I
out.
can't wait, March.
March 29th.
Um,
Oh yeah.
but no, seeing that was the last one that I got to see him in. That one.
By the way, he did film one for the Avengers 4.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
But yeah, that was my that's my last one. Steven?
My last one is one that I'm pretty sure none of you three know about. It's a movie that I had watched in my younger days. Shut up, Scott.
Didn't know you had those.
Yeah. Was the movie Mallrats. It's not necessarily a Marvel film, but it is to do with comic books and comic book figures and things of that like. Basically, the movie is about a comic book collector who basically lives at home. He has a girlfriend. They break up. He helps his best friend get his girl back, things of that nature. In the middle of it, Brody realizes that the girl that he's been pining over is really the one that he wants to be with. And in the middle of it, Stanley comes up to him in the middle of the mall and basically gushes his heart out to him, saying that you know, he loved somebody once and he pushed her away, and by the time he wanted to be with her, it was too late. And he basically convinced Brody to go after the girl that Brody was wanting to be with. That to me was just something really special to kind of see Stanley outside of the element of Marvel. I mean, it was back when he was younger. It was like 1995 when the movie came out. So it's been close to 20 plus years since it's been out.
23.
No, 23, thank you. But it was kind of nice to see a different side of Stanley. I mean, we all know him as the Marvel creator and the Marvel guru and everything of that nature, but just something that pulled him away from that and was able to dictate, you know, his life story into the movie. So.
Zach?
I can't remember. I don't know I think the funniest one, besides the Deadpool one that we talked about, was in Thor Ragnarok when he's cutting Thor's hair. He's like, "Please, kind sir, don't cut my hair."
Oh yeah, he's got that big, massive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, that's one of the funnier ones. I think. I don't know. There are so many Stan Lee cameos that we could sit here and go on for days and days and days and days about what are funny, what have meaning. I don't know. The lighter side is always the funner side, I think.
My third one was in the Avengers Infinity War when the Maw ship, I can't remember the name of the actual ship, that's what it's called, shows up in New York, and all the kids are freaking out on the bus, and he's Peter Parker's bus driver. He just looks at him and he goes, "What the hell's wrong with you guys? You never seen a spaceship before?" Like, I was just like, you know, I mean, there's so many curiosities about what type of character, you know, that he would be playing, and a lot of people think he's going to be part of the Watchers or whatever. And again, I wish we could have explored that storyline to see where that would have ended up. But I think a lot of that type of stuff, that a lot of those cameos, even if they were funny, some of them did have some hidden meaning, and in that case, it almost seemed like, you know, for him, that it was kind of implying that he was, you know, all over the universe and he'd seen all sorts of stuff. I mean, obviously he has, because he's been in all these movies, but...
Well, his life experience was a lot higher than ours.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty good one for me. So, we still got some decent amount of time. There's a couple of things I wanted to talk about in regards to Marvel. One of the things that I looked at, and I thought this was kind of a fascinating thought, is that do you guys realize that Deadpool's going to be the only one of all the Marvel characters that's going to realize that Stan Lee is dead?
Yes.
Because he's the only one who realizes this is a comic book, and he's in a movie, and he's going to probably be looking for... I could imagine him looking for Stan Lee in his, if he has a third movie, for that cameo and going,
What the hell?
where the hell is Stan Lee at? Whereas everybody else, it's going to go over their head, but he's going to, you know, automatically recognize it. And that's kind of depressing, but, you know, honestly, the subject we're talking about isn't exactly the most upbeat one. And the other one is that a lot of fans, again, talking about Deadpool, think that Deadpool should take over for Stan Lee as doing his cameos.
I mean, it would make sense.
He's the only one who would fit the bill for that. And I think Stan Lee would actually be okay with this.
I don't think there should be anybody that takes it up. I think, I mean, this is my opinion, I think it should just have been Stan Lee. And now that he's gone, I don't think somebody should take over for him. Like, I think that was his thing, that was his niche that he had in every movie. I mean, people went to these things looking forward to the story, and then what role does Stan Lee have in the film? I kind of feel if you did any other character showing up, regardless of whomever it may be, I just think it would feel forced and out of place. And I think it might take away more from what's going on. Where Stanley, I mean, it was extremely smooth how they slid him into these things. Like, yeah. It was just whatever scene was going. It didn't really matter what was going on. If it was a big fight scene, maybe a sad thing, or just like a casual walk down the street, they interjected him in so smoothly, and I don't know. I think it would be kind of in bad taste to replace him.
I wouldn't say replace him. I mean, honestly, the whole series is his baby. This whole thing, you know, is a big deal to him, or was a big deal, unfortunately. And again, it's... I don't think he would object to it. I mean, we don't know exactly what he would have thought about it, but I mean...
Or if there's plans for this.
There's entirely possible that he wrote, you know, somewhere down the line, you know, I'm not going to live forever, this is what I want, you know, if we're going to keep doing the cameos, this is who I want to do it, or, you know, I don't want you to do any more cameos. I mean, it's entirely possible that he could have easily wrote somewhere, you know, that he wants, you know, Deadpool to do it, or he wants, you know, X person, or he doesn't want anybody to do it. He thinks it's his thing to do, which is fine. I mean, it's his choice, whatever he wants, to have happen. But hopefully he wrote something down. That would be a nice way to look at it. I personally think Deadpool's the only one that fits. He's the only one that fits because he's the only one who would even recognize that that's even a possibility. Nobody else would, because they're all, characters, and they don't realize that they're just characters.
How do you think this affects Marvel's future?
As far as again, I really wish we could have seen the storyline of where Stanley's character was going to go, but
No, I'm talking
it's
overall, their movies and.
The
all
thing
that.
is, though, is
technically Marvel's owned by Disney now.
he wasn't directing any of these things.
Yeah.
He was, for the most part, they had.
But he was kind
plenty
of like the Vince, right? He had final say on these, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but he, unlike Vince, he knows how to run things correctly, and not shit on everybody. I think he does that intentionally now. But anyway, back to Marvel. I think the way it all plays, they've got a long line. They've got a lot of source material. They've got a lot of stuff they can go through. There's plenty of storylines. I don't think this. I mean, it's sad, obviously, for any comic book fan, but I don't think it'll affect them in the long run. I think it's going to make the next 2 or 3 movies even that much more popular to see Stan Lee's final couple of cameos.
Well, that's going to culminate with the last Infinity War movie.
Yeah, because I think those 2 are the last movies that he cameos in. So those 2 are going to be massively, massively popular. Honestly, as much of a tragedy as this is, and it's not like we weren't expecting it at some point. He wasn't, in his 30s.
He was 95 years old.
He was, up there, but I think it's going to be one of those things where you're going to have a hell of a time getting seats to go see that the first opening weekend, because of just how many people we're going to want to see, especially there's 2 movies left that he's cameoed in, because we don't know after Infinity War 2.
No, Infinity War 2 was the last one he did.
Yeah. So that's it. So I financially, they're going to be golden. And even after that, it's Stan Lee's legacy. We're going to try and keep Stan Lee's legacy going as long as humanly possible. So as long as they don't completely screw the pooch, which I doubt they do, because they don't. They rarely make it.
Rarely. The only mistake Marvel's really made in the Marvel universe has been Hulk.
Yeah.
Well, because you can't.
You can't count
It's a casting issue.
Well,
Yeah.
no, it's a CGI thing.
Yeah, Hulk is just, his story is so bland as,
Yeah.
he's a big dude, it's a science experiment, he doesn't talk,
Yeah. Much.
he really doesn't.
Yeah.
Unless you're in Thor Ragnarok. But anyway.
Yeah. Well, Edward Norton's wasn't a good pick for that, anyways.
Well,
But I don't. Oh, sorry, buddy.
my thing is, I don't think this is going to affect Marvel at all. I think they continue to keep. They know what the standard is. They know what's been working, and the only good thing out of all of, even with all of this happening, is that the Marvel the cinematic universe is completely a different. Disney may own Marvel.
Yeah.
Marvel owns the films.
Yeah.
And Disney can't touch that. Which, again, thank you, Stanley, for that, because, I could have honestly seen a Disney takeover had Stanley said MCU is off limits. You can have the rights to Marvel, but you can't have the rights to our films.
Well, what I'm bringing up in my question was, now that Stanley's not here, he really can't give those.
He can still give the power of something to Marvel Corps.
Yeah. Somebody's gonna have to be appointed. Does he have any children?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I'm
he has
sure.
a daughter, I believe.
I'm assuming she's going to be the heir apparent to all of this.
Yeah.
Probably, if she wants to be.
If
They
she
don't
wants
have
it.
They
Well, I
don't
know
have
his wife passed like about 4 or 5
Yeah.
years
Well,
ago.
what I'm saying is,
in 2015, I believe.
Whomever gets control of this is really going to have the future of Marvel in their hands. But if they decide to let Disney get it all,
I don't think they're going to let that happen. They really won't.
The only part I would like to see is them move the X-Men over from who has it now,
Fox,
and send it over to Disney. Because I think that would be a great meshing.
Disney already owns Fox.
Right. I think that would be a great meshing point at some point in the next 2
who
to
owns
3 years.
Deadpool? Is Disney on Deadpool?
Fox.
Fox it's all the same now because Fox and Disney are one and the same.
Well, I'm thinking. Well, what I'm asking is, like, do you really think Disney's going to plaster their logo on a rated R Deadpool movie?
They already have.
They already have.
Because
Yeah.
that's the
They
second
did
one.
Deadpool too.
The second one was Disney, because that was the big gripe was that people did not want Deadpool to be under Disney's banner because they were afraid it was going to be dropped to PG-13. But Logan was also the same.
I will also
believe.
point this out. If you look at it through this telescope, when movies started coming into this country, when they were starting to become a big thing, Disney's put out the most rated R movies out of any corporation in the world.
Well, hell, they own damn near everything.
Not wrong.
Well, I mean, but even when I was under Disney, they still had thousands and thousands of rated R
Well,
movies.
I do know Disney does own a porn company.
Oh yeah.
I believe if
Disney owns a porn company.
if I'm not much mistaken, now they now own the rights to SmackDown next year because Fox and SmackDown are together. So they technically own
They
the
don't-
wrestling.
they
own the rights,
to that show.
to air the show.
Yeah.
They don't own the rights to the show. That
Yeah.
is property of
Vince
and that will likely stay in possession of.
until the XFL.
But I
And hopefully he gives it to
honestly,
somebody else.
I believe going into this, to answer your question, I don't think anything changes. I think they ride it out. They continue to do what they set out to do back to Iron Man 1, or if you want to keep going back to Daredevil or Fantastic Four, even though it was a shit movie.
I was gonna say those don't even have anything.
First
to do
one
with
wasn't bad.
Well,
I enjoyed the first one.
the
The
first
second
one
one was dumb.
Wasn't
one,
the
yeah.
Silver Surfer the second one?
Yes.
Yeah, it was
Uh,
garbage.
Where Galactus was a cloud
Here we
instead of a
go.
big freaking mutant.
Yeah. So I mean,
Look, we have a few more minutes if you want to bitch about that.
Like, seriously, have you ever seen a picture of fucking Galactus?
It's a big giant planet.
He holds
thing.
the fucking world in his hand.
Yeah.
And what do? You turn him into a fucking cumulus cloud who's a fucking plant eater.
We started something. I'm sorry, guys. I did not
And
mean to
people
do that.
wonder why I had so many problems with this fucking movie.
Did they?
I'm starting to
You
wonder.
brought it up, fucker.
you
I
kind of did.
I didn't bring up diddly shit.
Stop stealing my words.
It's getting aggressive over here.
no, but like, my thing is, and this is going to kind of want to be the.
No! You keep going. You deal with it. Keep going, Zach.
Shut up.
You shut up.
So I guess
Children, please.
Fuck off.
I guess the one thing that I do want to say in a serious tone, though, is the more and more articles that I read throughout the week on Stanley, he was battling cancer. Finally, if it took him, if it was the old age, the man gave every human being that read Marvel, enjoyed Marvel, a chance to dream. And that is in this day and age, it feels like that big dream's dead. That American dream is dead. But if you go back and you see what Stan Lee created and the things that he did, or when you read that comic or when you watch that movie, how many times have I'm not afraid to admit it, I go back to Dream World when Spider-Man plays or Captain America plays, because it's just like, holy shit, I wish I could be that person. He's inspired us to keep that dream alive through, whether it be the movies, the comics, whatever. And I think that's the big thing that we in this world at this time, we really need to have.
Yeah. I think they're going to be in an economic boom, at least for the next year or two, no questions asked. Their thing is making sure that after they get past this part, the
Finale.
the second Infinity Wars, knowing where they want to go from there. If they want to have an X-Men crossover, fantastic. I'd love to see it. I'd watch however many fucking movies they make.
I heard they're supposed to do a
Um,
Avengers and X-Men crossover.
I mean, that'd be fantastic. They've got characters to replace the characters they have now. Not really all of them that I necessarily care about, because, I mean, we're getting rid of Captain America, Iron Man,
Maybe.
more than likely. Again, not a guarantee, but more than likely. And you're going to replace them with some characters that are iffy, but we'll see. I don't know. It's going to depend. But I think they'll be all right for the next year or two. It's after they get past the point that they had already marked as this is the finale of this set, phase 3 or whatever they're at now.
Phase 3.
It's phase 4 and onward that we'll have to watch the movies and see where they go from there.
Phase 4 is probably gonna be the new Avengers.
Yeah, which will probably take place 2020,
Mm-hmm.
I'd imagine.
So the best thing is, you got movies coming down the pipeline that are going to still be good. The Black Widow's, her introductory story.
Are they still doing that?
Yeah, they're still doing it.
Venom 2.
Venom 2, they're doing that. They're also
Better be good than
doing
the first.
Guardians of the Galaxy 3. They've got that fixed. Finally, thank God.
Is Batista coming back?
I doubt it.
No, he's not coming back.
No.
You openly admit you went out of your contract and you openly toss your name into the DC.
Universe.
Yeah.
Meh.
So he's not going to be
Yeah,
there.
there's some very promising roles he could have.
Yeah.
Bane.
Larry
Not
shit
just
on
Bane.
I'm just saying Bane being one of them.
I can think of another one.
But I mean, there's going to be. They've got movies that are coming down that are going to be fantastic. They have to remember.
Talented.
Oh, right. But I mean, they just have to follow the mold that the first 3 phases put out, and
Right.
they're going to continue to keep rolling.
Alright, well.
Excelsior. I
I
feel like
think-
that should be said at some point during this.
Excelsior?
Yeah. Come on, it's a Stanley thing.
But I think we've reached a pretty good point here. But Steve, go ahead and close it out since you opened it.
Okay. So this was our tribute to Stan Lee. We went through our favorite characters, our favorite times, our favorite cameos. We do want to say he will be missed. I personally don't think I can watch a Marvel movie after Avengers 4 and look at it the same way. But that's just my own opinion. And for us at the Four Corners Podcast, y'all have a good evening.
See you guys.